Hello and welcome again to our devotional time here on Friday. The passage of scripture that we will be looking at specifically today is Acts chapter 26, verses 24 through 32. This is a continuation of the interrogation that Paul finds himself in with Governor Festus and King Agrippa. Festus has asked for Agrippa's insight into the examination of Paul's testimony and his explanation for his efforts to share the gospel. And we pick this up in verse 24 where Festus interrupts Paul's defense and says this remarkable thing. "You are out of your mind, Paul," he shouted. "Your great learning is driving you insane." Now, those words by themselves would mean nothing unless you've read the previous verses, in which we discover that Paul has been extremely articulate in the mission that Christ has given to him. And he is very, very knowledgeable about the prophets, the Old Testament scriptures, their message that reveals and points to the coming of the Messiah, which Paul firmly believes is Jesus of Nazareth. And King Agrippa has some knowledge of the prophetic word as well, and Paul will make reference to that. But I thought the dialogue between Paul and these two men has got to a point of real intensity at this point. And Festus interrupts him with these rather strong words. And Paul responds. He says, "I am not insane, most excellent Festus. What I am saying is true and reasonable. And the king is familiar with these things, and I can speak freely to him. I am convinced that none of this has escaped his notice, because it was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you do." Then Agrippa said to Paul, "Do you think that in such a short time you can persuade me to be a Christian?" Paul replied, "Short time or long, I pray God that not only you but all who are listening to me today may become what I am, except for these chains." And then the meeting is over, and Paul is assigned to go to see Caesar in Rome. But that response of Paul is what captured my attention out of this dialogue, out of this intense interaction with people who virtually carry his life in their hands. Paul does not back away from a clear testimony of who Jesus is. He is not being dogmatic, but he's being very insightful. And he's not being reactionary, but rather he is being very purposeful in what he is saying. Very, very well crafted. He's not being just responding to them. He's reacting to them. He's being very responsive to these two authoritative figures. And then he comes to this conclusion of his dialogue. "I pray God that not only you, but all who are listening to me today may become what I am, except for these chains." He desires that those to whom he is speaking come to a place of relationship with Jesus Christ, that relationship shapes their entire lives, their decisions, their priorities, their loves. He wants them to experience the fullness of Christ as he himself has experienced. I take great encouragement in Paul's testimony today that I want his prayer answered in my life, not coming from a non-Christian to a Christian, but that I might become fully, completely, unreservedly, passionately devoted to Christ, as modeled by this early Christian leader who had much to offer and really, truly, a lot to gain in following Christ. Take some time to reflect on his testimony today, won't you? And may the Lord bless you.